Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Stop Playin show. It's your favorite homegirl, Koereyelle, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I believe you can have it all. You can make the money and you can get the honey as long as you are willing to work. But y'all, it's season 2 and we are doing things differently, okay? This season is all about relationships. So instead of focusing solely on business and entrepreneurship, we are turning the tables a little bit, not just talking about business, but getting all up in your business. And today's guest for episode 1 is one of my favorite people in the world, maybe my favorite person in the whole entire world. My man is in the studio, y'all.
What's
hey,
happening?
Kendrick.
What's going on?
So Kendrick was highly requested. Okay, he's not just here because I wanted to open up season 2 with him, even though it is fitting because we opened up season 1 with the conversation together. We did. You were my very first guest. Y'all, we went through it on season 1, okay? He was not supposed to be the first guest, but some stuff happened and he had to step up to the plate. So I had to do some things to get him for season 1. I think I'm gonna have to do some things.
What's about season 2?
Do some things for season 2 because y'all really requested him. I did a survey and Kendrick's name came up more than one time. I kind of feel some type of way about that, but here we are. You ready?
I was born ready.
He was born ready. All right, y'all. So I promised you all that we would open up season 2 sharing our second birth story. Okay, you know it took me 18 months. I was almost about to have my second child before I felt like the PTSD had subsided enough to talk about my first birth story. So if you missed it, it wasn't here on YouTube. It's only on the audio platform. So actually, I think I'm lying. I think you can find it here on YouTube. I think I went ahead and put it up, but you can find it. It's out there, okay? And it took me such a long time to share because it was traumatic, like literal traumatizing for me to be able to even think about the circumstances at which, I had my first son. And so because of that, I said that I would open up season 2 with not waiting so long, but talking about my second birth story. But before I do that, I would like to hear from you, Daddy. What was your first experience like through your eyes? So my birth story through your lens.
Talking about the first experience?
We're talking about the first experience.
Cairo. I wouldn't call it traumatic, but it was very unsettling not being in control of the situation. Having no control in the situation, really. There's nothing I could really do for you or the baby at the time, other than just be supportive. So I'll say that was the biggest, hurdle for, probably most men.
Is not knowing what to do?
Just not knowing what to do, really. I mean, all the classes and, the courses that we took, it didn't really prepare you for. Well, actually, we didn't, because one thing we didn't prepare for a hospital birth. So that was
a major thing.
Yeah,
yes.
we didn't anticipate a hospital birth. So that was never like even, it was in the back of our heads, but it wasn't, part of the plan.
I mean,
so
I didn't even pack a bag.
Yeah, you didn't prepare for it. So I definitely wasn't prepared.
So for those of y'all who haven't watched the video, you definitely got to go watch it to hear all of it, the play-by-play. But we planned on having a home birth the first time. So as crazy as that sounds, as crazy as the people thought that we were, we had the tub blown up. We had the string lights hanging, the affirmations up on the wall, all of the things, okay? We just knew we were about to have this baby at home. And God had something else planned for us. So no, we were not prepared at all to go to the hospital. I was so headstrong with wanting things my way and wanting it to come out, to turn out the way that I wanted it to, that I did not even prepare to go to the hospital at all. Like I was refusing to go to the hospital until
I asked you to pack a
I didn't have a choice. He did. He asked me several times, was I going to pack one? And I felt like if I pack a bag, that's me throwing doubt into the plan. Like I'm planning for it not to work if I pack this bag. That's what I was saying to myself in my head until, I had to rush home and pack a bag in, 10, 15 minutes. That was definitely. So for Kendrick, it wasn't traumatizing. He was not on that bed. But I can imagine there were like some traumatic
There were some
points.
traumatic moments.
You said it wasn't
I wouldn't use the
traumatizing.
word traumatic, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Traumatic is like something that you can't get over. I feel like.
I feel traumatized.
I mean, it's different for you. Like, you were carrying the baby.
I was carrying the baby, and
there were some scary moments.
For sure.
For sure. I don't know if I would say traumatized.
So the beauty of...
If I was traumatized, I probably wouldn't have had another kid.
The beauty of not being, the woman who's carrying and delivering and birthing the child is that you are not directly traumatized. Now, I can imagine like you sitting back helpless, basically, because you weren't on the bed, but you also weren't in control. There wasn't anything that you could necessarily do. So I can imagine that it made you uneasy because you didn't know what was going on. This was both of our first experiences, both of us becoming first-time parents, both of us clueless, even after the classes that we took and the things that we did do to prepare. So yeah, I can imagine that, I think you said at one point, like, you just want to leave with your wife and your baby. You just want to make sure you're walking out of the hospital with two people.
I never imagined I would have those thoughts, though, you know what I mean? Like, literally, that was the only thing that was important to me at that point, was making sure you and the baby left the hospital with me, alive.
We're all going home together. And that's honestly what it came down to for me, too, because for, I think it's like 46 hours, I was trying to push my body to do something that it just was not doing because I was so caught up in how this was going to happen. I was so caught up in having a vaginal birth. I was so caught up in not being a statistic, not being another woman that ends up having a C-section. I was just so dead set on not having a C-section. And guess what, y'all? Ended up right on that operating table having a C-section. But it came down to me really doing what I feel like was like my first true act as a mother. Like really putting my baby's health and well-being over like my selfish wants and desires. Because I really just didn't want to have a C-section because I didn't want to have a C-section. It's not like there was some true reason that was more important than my child's health. So when it came down to it, after his heart rate dropped and all of the things, I was really left with no choice. So we did end up having a C-section with Cairo, which made me more relaxed, I think. Do you think I was more relaxed with Kenzo?
Somewhat, yeah.
Not really?
I think you were more just not concerned with outcomes.
Yeah, I think I said I don't care several times, even before I got
whatever
pregnant.
happens is going to happen.
Whatever's going to happen, y'all going to get this baby as long as I go home with the baby. Mm-hmm. That was my thinking from the start versus that eventually being my thinking with Cairo. And one of the things that I've said probably 5 times, anytime somebody around me gets pregnant, the one piece of advice that I have is don't put pressure on yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't feel like your birth story has to turn out this one way. And if it doesn't turn out this one way, you failed. Because that's a lot of pressure. And being pregnant is the one time in your life that you don't need to be stressed out, right? Stress can cause so many issues for a person that's not pregnant. So imagine what you're doing to your body and potentially to your baby if you're stressed out, which I definitely feel like I was stressing myself out trying to be such a control freak. And because it did not turn out the way that I wanted it to, when I got pregnant the second time, I was like, I really don't even care. A VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after a cesarean, that sounded cool, but I was okay with whatever happened. So fast forward, 22 months later, we're back at the hospital. This time I did have a bag packed. I packed like a month early, okay? I did good this time. I had my bag packed. We are back at the hospital. I did not let them pressure me into scheduling a C-section because they wanted to schedule a C-section at 39 weeks, and I didn't let them do that. So I did still stand up for myself, which is very important, being an advocate for yourself, knowing what you want if you do, have a preference, being willing to speak up about that preference. Because although I was not set on having a vaginal delivery, I at least wanted to give my body a chance, to go into labor on its own. So I did not let them pressure me into scheduling that C-section. Thankfully, I didn't, because my body did end up going into labor naturally 3 days after his due date. So this is where I would like for you to pick up on the story, because I think Kendrick thought I was pretty crazy. The one plan that I did have, this is the plan that I did have. If my body goes into labor, I want to labor at home. In my mind, I was going to labor at home for as long as possible. And then where was I going to have that baby? Tell the people where I wanted to have my baby.
I feel like you said either in the car or in the toilet.
I wanted to be sitting on the toilet, having my contractions, and
But I
oops,
kind of like
the
tuned
baby
you
slips
out
out.
after
He didn't want to hear that. So
the
then
last
my
couple
second
days.
plan was I'm going to labor at home as long as possible, and then I'm going to have the baby on the way to the hospital. Because in a perfect world, I just show up to the hospital with the baby. They check the baby out, they check me out, and then they send us home.
Now imagine your husband having to drive with that going on. Does that sound perfect? to you?
We are 10 minutes away from the
It doesn't
hospital.
matter. I'm on the highway.
And in my mind, yes, please,
Okay.
baby, come out. I think that is like, that's an amazing accomplishment for women who are able to. That was not my story. Okay, that's not what happened. However, I did labor at home for quite a while. So I think I went into labor a little before like 5
Something like
a.m. I
before.
started having contractions a little, in the middle of the night, basically. So you got up to go to work at like 6 o'clock. I think I told you, like, I'm pretty sure I'm having some contractions, but they weren't. I mean, I've never had contractions naturally, so I didn't really know what to expect. Everybody says it feels like cramps. I don't have cramps. I've never really had to deal with cramps, so I didn't really know what that was even going to be like. But I knew something was weird. I honestly was feeling like, I don't know if I'm dreaming. But then when I actually woke up and I felt him again, I said, okay. And that's when I said something to you before you left. So I was updating him throughout the day. I'm texting my midwife from my first pregnancy, like, hey, this is what's going on. What does this mean? And so she's kind of coaching me through what I should be looking for, when I should go to the hospital. And so I'm updating her throughout the day. So from 5 a.m., they started really coming on strong, I would say around like noon. I get in the bathtub. Kendrick thinks I'm trying to have a home birth. Like, you trying to have this baby in the bathtub, which that would have been okay too. I
I
wasn't
didn't know
opposed
what
to
you
that.
were doing.
He thought I was a crazy
I just had to
person.
keep my eyes on you because you was.
What was I doing?
First of all, you weren't talking to me. You were like in this zen
Labor.
mode. Yeah, I guess you were in labor. Yeah. So I was like, all right, let me just do what I can do.
What could you do?
Just check on you, basically. make sure Cairo was good. Getting everything ready. As far as like me packing the bag, making sure that Cairo had everything he needed. Who was that? Was my mom at the house?
Your
my
mom
was there.
Yep.
Just kind of like tying up loose ends.
He got me my last meal. I was
getting
really
food, got food
intentional
and
about
everything,
this day. I think the day went well because it's not like the movies, y'all. It's not like you go into labor, your water breaks, and then you got to rush to the hospital.
no.
That's not what happens. Actually, your water breaking is one of the last things that happen. Your water doesn't just break at the beginning. It breaks when you're ready to have the baby. So before the contractions really got crazy and I did get into the bathtub, I braided Cairo's hair, like I, fixed him breakfast. I was really able to like spend the day with him, and I did appreciate that because I was feeling some type of way that he was not going to be an only child anymore. Even though I didn't want him to be an only child, it was still like, dang, this is the last time it's just going to be you. So I feel very blessed that I got to enjoy that day with him. So that was a good part. And I got to eat my meal because, y'all, if you go to that hospital and you're in labor, you cannot eat anything.
Can't drink anything.
You can't even drink a glass of water. So again, that was part of my reasoning for wanting to be in control as much as possible and there's like research on this too. This is not just me, but the earlier you go to the hospital, the more likely they're going to have to do interventions, which is let's put you on Pitocin, let's break your water, all of the medical interventions that can obstruct a natural delivery, which is what I wanted to have. Yeah, which is what I wanted.
That's what happened last time.
It's definitely what happened last time. Getting induced is like, that should be illegal. But y'all got to go back and listen to the first one because I don't even want to get into the first story because I'll get upset. But that should be illegal. All of the interventions. I mean, obviously they shouldn't all be illegal, but most of them come from the timetable that the staff have you on versus like your body going through a natural process. Like your body knows, just like you got pregnant, your body knows when this pregnancy is over. And so a lot of times these emergency C-sections come from the staff wanting you to progress faster, than your body is able to progress. And so they start doing all of these artificial things, and that a lot of times ends up in emergency C-section. So long story short, get to the hospital around 8 o'clock. What was the drive like? Let's talk about the drive to the hospital because I pushed it. Like I held on as long as I could.
I mean, that whole night was kind of crazy because I had just got off work. I was tired. You were doing your thing, so I didn't really know. I kept checking in on you, but like you tend to not be as forthcoming with information sometimes. So I'm like, is this girl really trying to have a baby in this tub?
Had this baby at this house.
She had the music playing. I'm talking about in the bathroom.
Bruh, I was in labor.
An hour, 2 hours maybe.
Sitting on that toilet. That was all that would give me relief.
Yeah,
you like, what are you
went back and forth between the toilet and the tub.
Toilet and the tub.
I say probably the whole time I was home.
The whole day. That's what I was doing.
I got home at about 2:30. So from 2:30 to 7:30 at least.
Yeah.
We were back and forth between the tub and the toilet.
And he kept saying, you ready to go? And I'm like, nope.
I'm like, she really pushing it.
I'm going to hold out.
And the only thing that kept me from, saying, forget this,
forcing me into the car.
Because I wanted, like you said, Cairo, this is his last day of being the only kid. And I wanted to put him to bed and make sure he was good before I left.
Yeah, so we got to do all of that.
We got to do that. Once he went to bed, I was like, all right, let's go. I think you might already been in the car. I was
already in the car. Listen, because by that point...
Yeah, she was ready.
It was crazy because he kept checking on me like, come on, let's go. You ready? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then when I was ready, he didn't have his phone. So I had texted him like an hour before we actually left. And I'm like, it's time. I'm ready. But he was putting the baby to sleep. I think you were feeding him. So he was not...
And he was cutting up.
He was not paying me any attention because Cairo knew something was up.
He knows when we're leaving.
He knew something was up.
He knew.
He did.
Something was up, so he wouldn't lay down. Usually he goes right down when I put him to bed, but for some reason he was just upset that night.
Something's going on.
My mommy
been away. She been upstairs.
I ain't seen mommy.
Yeah.
In a couple hours. What's going on?
So we get to the hospital.
It took me a little longer to put him to bed. Yeah.
We get to the hospital about 8. Well, the car ride. He's freaking out on the car ride.
I feel like we left about. Did we leave right at 8?
I think we got to the we pulled up to the hospital at 8 because it was only like a 10-minute drive. So we left at like 7:40, 7:45, something like that. But y'all, when I tell you that ride to the hospital was so dramatic, now that was like off of TV. Did you feel like that was like out of the movies?
And it was raining.
It was raining. I
raining
was like bent over.
Hard. You in the
back seat, sprawled across the back seat.
Sprawled out, moaning.
It was bad. That was a bad ride.
Yo. But in my head, I'm like, you better not have this baby.
It's nothing but God that we literally live like 10 minutes away from the hospital because it's like one exit up. So that was, it was a bad ride because I do feel like, okay, girl, you probably waited a little too long. Like you
pushed it.
You should have left an hour earlier because by the time we got to the hospital, it took an entire hour.
Just to get.
An entire hour, y'all. I'm in active labor, like screaming when the contractions come. And it took an hour for them to get me checked in, do all the lab work, because before they can really do anything, they got to do lab work. They got to see what your levels are right now before they start any of the things that they're going to do. So by the time they could actually give me drugs, which they couldn't have gave me them drugs quick enough. By the time they gave me the drugs, it had been like an hour. I was dilated, I think 6 or 7 centimeters the first time they checked. And then the next time they were like, okay, you're ready to start pushing. Is that accurate?
Something like that. Yeah, it happened very quick because I wasn't ready. I was getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah, he was like,
I'm thinking about the last time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm like,
how long are you going?
You know what I mean? I'm like, she's not ready to push.
Hours. That's what you
so
said.
I'm like, I remember last time, we were there, 3 days, 2 days?
We were there the whole week.
So I went to making my cot on the couch.
Yeah.
Getting all my stuff out, getting comfortable, make sure you was good.
And then
they come in and it's like, we about to have this baby in a minute.
It's like, you ready?
I'm like, oh shoot, okay, cool.
So that was,
yeah, it was like night and day.
Affirming. Yeah, it was a totally different
experience. Like I said, the first time it was chaotic. It was like unexpected. This time it was kind of like just
it was
routine checkup. It was like all right, I would do this, now I do that. Next thing I know, I see the baby head. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
So,
yeah, that was
to
different.
Spoil the surprise, even though that ain't a surprise, y'all been waiting because Kenzo is 2 months now. But I did end up having a vaginal delivery. I did that shit.
Friday,
I did that shit.
Yeah.
I did that shit. Okay, so listen, y'all. Let me tell y'all. I'm looking at this camera, so you know I'm talking right to you. The people been lying. And I'm going to tell y'all the truth, okay? Because coming from having a C-section, which everybody says is the worst thing ever that could ever happen to you. The recovery is going to be so bad. You're going to have this terrible scar. You ain't going to be able to do nothing. All of the things that the people tell you, okay? Coming from having that experience, and even though leading up to the C-section, it was awful, horrendous, traumatizing, after I had the baby, the C-section was the least of my problems. That I don't think I had a terrible recovery. So that was my personal experience with the C-section. Everybody says with the vaginal delivery, the recovery is going to be so much quicker. You're going to be up and moving and back and doing all the things. Baby, when I tell you I was broken after having that baby.
Broken?
Chopped and screwed. Okay, it was bad to me. It was nothing like I feel like the people tried to convince me. Even the nurses like, oh yeah, you're going to be up in no time. You're just going to be, I think my recovery was way worse. I think that.
I mean, I can't really gauge it because
You can't gauge it because you're on the outside looking
in. I would say.
What looked like it was worse? Because you saw them chop my stomach open. You saw me push that baby out.
The C-section seemed worse to me just because you weren't really able to move around for a few days. Like when we got home, he was in the bed.
Maybe I blocked that. I don't think so.
I think I blocked that out. I think you blocked a lot of it. And maybe you were just doing stuff on your own that you shouldn't have been doing.
Probably.
But I feel like that first couple days, you were kind of like in the bed, couldn't get up.
So what about this time?
Couldn't sit up. I had to help you.
What about this time?
Like get up to go to the bathroom.
What about this time?
This time I felt like as far as you being able to move around, what you felt and, what your body did, I don't really know. But I'm just saying from the outside looking in, you were moving literally the next day, walking around.
When I tell you, I feel like I was moving like a little old ass lady. I have never experienced.
I'm saying the second time?
This vaginal birth. I feel like y'all are liars, ladies. Y'all have been lying. And I am here to set the record straight that everybody's experience is different. That's what I have to say. Everybody's experience is different. Do not believe that if you have a vaginal birth, you're just going to be skipping and running and jumping the next day. And don't believe that if you have a C-section, you're going to be like in bed for a month. I think that your body is going to do what it does, the best that it can do. But everybody is different, just like every baby is different. So, and every pregnancy is different. So I think they're liars. And I think I got like one more pregnancy in me. Kendrick, what you say?
I hope it's just one.
Zoom in on them, y'all. Zoom in.
It better be one.
I think I got one more pregnancy, two more babies. Just putting it out there in the universe. Let's touch and agree. He do not want to touch and agree, y'all. But if I could just have, I'm going to say it on record. No, I'm going to say it on record. He don't want me to say it. Because I'm going to speak it into existence.
Because everything she say, it happens.
It be happening.
Whether it's good or bad.
Whether it's good or bad. So this is good. So I would love to get 2 for 1.
Two
for one. Have some identical twin girls.
They look pretty much alike to me.
Identical twin girls. But my point is, next pregnancy, what would I do? I've had the C-section. I've had the vaginal birth. What will I do for pregnancy number 3? What will I do?
What would you choose?
Yeah, what will I choose? What will be my birth plan?
I think if you had the choice, I think you would. I think having done a vaginal birth, as bad as it was to you, I think you do it again.
Use quotes like it wasn't really bad.
I'm not saying it wasn't bad. I'm just saying like you made it seem like it was so much worse than the first time.
I feel like it was so much worse.
So much worse.
So much worse. Y'all, I had to.
I think it was what happened.
Was she not stitching me up?
Yeah, she was stitching me up.
It seemed like as long as I was pushing, she stitched me up for just as long.
Yeah, she was working on you.
That was awful. I mean, it was so bad, y'all. I mean, it was bad. So, needless to say, next time around.
But knowing you though, I just know you. You're very strong-willed.
That didn't work out for me.
It did work out the second time.
The second time.
Because you could have easily said, no, forget this. I'm having a C-section. And for a while, I thought you was going to do that. I mean, I supported you either way. But I'm glad you held out. I'm glad you held out. For you and my baby's sake. 'Cause I think it's something that you really wanted.
I wanted to experience it. I felt robbed the first time, for sure.
But now that you've experienced, I think you're kind of like, all right, whatever.
But
I do feel like if you could do it again, you would still do a vaginal birth.
You feel that way?
I feel that way.
That's so nice of you. That's nice of him. But they could take these. What time should I show up there at the hospital? What date? Let me put it on my calendar.
Are you putting that out there now?
Let my husband know.
That you're saying you're going to schedule?
I'm saying.
That's what we're doing?
I'm saying I'm not judging myself for whatever I choose.
No, I'm saying, what would you want?
I have proven to myself that I can push a baby out. That shit was When they say birth is the closest thing to death, that was literally like I had to die so my baby could come to life. I mean, I do feel like, damn, I did that. I do feel like that because I really did that.
You did it.
I did that.
did.
But I ain't got to do it again. I ain't got to do it again.
That's part
I've
of
proven
it,
it to myself. That's part of it.
I think that's part
Don't
of
say
it.
nothing to get canceled on here, okay? Because this is a very sensitive topic. So
It
we're going
is,
to
and I'm
move
trying
on.
to-
It is. Don't.
I'm trying to
Don't.
be mindful of that.
Yeah, be mindful.
I think they
because
came
people
for you
be
one
mad.
time before when you.
They do. But this is the thing. I didn't learn this until my first pregnancy. And I am so against the mindset that if you are speaking positively about one thing, that means that you're bashing something else. I don't get that. Like, I feel like people are just way too sensitive. The internet has just, like, y'all want participation prizes for everything. If you're a loser, you lost. Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to, well, I can't say that I like, alkaline water because that means that you trash if you drink Dasani. That's weird. That's weird. I'm not talking bad about you.
The internet
for
is
bigging
weird.
up
That's
something
why I
else.
try to.
The
stay
internet
off
is
of
weird,
it.
so
That's
he
why I
does try to
off the
stay off. He
internet,
does.
honestly.
He does. And you
Yeah.
was about to get us canceled, so I'm glad I
It ain't a
gathered
place.
that. But
It
whatever
ain't a place
you
for somebody that is truthful. You know what I mean? I can't pretend. I can't be fake, phony.
So
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna have
just tell
to
you how I feel.
cut your mic.
Yeah, you might have to cut my mic.
To wrap that up, even most of the time it's not a choice, right? Most of the time you are doing what is recommended to you based on the health of your child. There is no right or wrong answer, no right or wrong way to do it. And like I said, everybody's body is different. So shout out to you if you have a freaking baby, okay? If you
Yeah, we did both. So I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
how
we're
can I-
not knocking either
How
one.
can I knock either one? As long
not
as your
knocking
baby
either.
comes here healthy.
It's truly a miracle to have
the
to walk
mom-
out of that hospital with.
Yeah, I was gonna
with a
say, as long
healthy
as your
baby.
the mother is alive, the baby is alive and healthy.
Nothing else
Like
matters.
all that other stuff don't matter because like I had to like really like have those thoughts like, dang,
What were your thoughts? Were you thinking?
the first time?
So there's a quote or a tweet or a meme or something on Instagram where a girl says, if it ever comes down to me or this baby, like you got to decide, daddy,
What you mean?
life or death. You got to save one. Did you have that thought?
I didn't have that thought, but did I have that thought? I wouldn't say I had the thought of saving one. I had the thought of not losing either one.
So can I
So
ask
not
you?
like, oh, if I got to pick,
Can you
who am
answer
I-
that question?
who am I choosing? But I
Can you
did have
answer
a
that
thought of
question?
like, dang, like this is real. Like, because what happened? His heart rate dropped
Heart
or
rate dropped.
something.
The whole team
Everybody
came
rushed
rushing
in and they flipped you over and
All the
they
things,
weren't
pushing
they weren't
on
really
my stomach.
talking.
Yeah.
This was during COVID, so like everybody was like extra. So I think that really added to the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the nurses came in, she wasn't really talking, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, is the baby okay?" And she's like, "No," and that was it. The next thing I hear her ask is she vaccinated? And I almost lost it. I'm just like, of all the things, that's what you worried about? Is she
That's
vaccinated?
what they were worried about. Not the
Like, my
not
baby is
not the,
literally-
life of my child. who
His
was not
life is
vaccinated,
dangling
obviously.
right now.
That's
and
what
my
they should have
wife.
been concerned about.
But they were concerned about you being vaccinated.
So do you not want to answer the question? You seem to be.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Would you have been able to make that choice? Or what would your choice have been?
I would have been able to make that choice.
It's like the burning building question. Like, who do you save?
And I don't like answering questions like that, honestly. I feel like
It's an omen
I
or
don't know.
something. Okay.
But of course you know what would have happened. I mean, what do most hospitals, not most, but what do the hospitals do? What do the doctors
It
do?
saved the mother.
Save the mother. I mean, that's just what it is.
That is.
It's a tough decision, but in reality, I had no. I don't even want.
Don't say
I don't
it.
like talking like that.
Don't say.
I'm just saying I had never met my
don't even
son
know
yet.
this guy.
I don't even know this dude.
This
Yeah, I mean-
right here. This is my wife. I don't even know this.
but now it's like I have to think twice. Like, hey, I don't know, son. But nah, it would have been a no brainer.
No brainer, really. I feel like that would be not that it would.
In that
it would be a
situation, if we're talking
very
about
hard decision to
childbirth.
make, but
Now, if they said, hey, we can save your wife, but she might be brain dead.
and you like, I ain't about to take care of this.
You know what I'm
baby
saying? And-
forever. You would have said,
but the baby's
yeah,
going to be fine.
I want the fine baby.
I'm not saying I would choose that, but that would be a harder decision. Otherwise, it's like, save my wife. You know what I mean? Do whatever I won't even like I'm not even thinking about don't save the baby. You know what I mean? I'm thinking save my wife. But having been in the room and experienced that, it's a tricky it's an unsettling feeling. So I pray nobody ever has to make that decision.
You never want to
I
make.
never want to have to make.
Another
wish that on
decision
anybody.
that, again, I feel like these conversations are so important because I learned so much when I got pregnant. And at that point, it's like, it's too late. There's no turning back. The baby got to come out. Like, it is what it is. But another very tough conversation that we had to have with both pregnancies, but we really only had it with the first. There comes a point in the pregnancy when they do genetic testing. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that they test for, if those tests come back positive for those traits or whatever, some of the things that could come up are considered to be incompatible with life. Meaning, basically, if your baby has one of these traits, it's like a 2% chance that the baby's going to survive. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like very slim chances that the baby will survive. And if the baby does make it to delivery, the chances of them surviving past like a month are very slim. So we had to have a conversation. I think when I had done the testing, but we hadn't got the results yet. And we literally sat at dinner, I remember, and I was telling you, you know, like, if this test comes back positive for this, it basically means the baby won't survive. What would you want to do if the test came back positive?
What did I say?
And this was a disagreement that we had because I said, peace out, little fetus. I cannot
what?
Sign up for. I'm not going to get canceled for this. This is real.
I'm messing with
you. This is a real thought and a real conversation because what comes to mind.
I thought it was
Down syndrome was Down syndrome.
That's the only thing I remember.
So during this test, they test for Down syndrome, and then there's like 2 other things that they test for. Those other 2 things are like incompatible to life. Down syndrome, obviously, the child can survive and thrive and live a full life and all of the things.
But I think that's what I was thinking about when you asked the question.
So Kendrick said, he was like, absolutely not. We would never terminate our child. Like, we would just deal with whatever came. I was like, absolutely not. Because in my mind, that seemed more traumatic to like give birth to a baby and then lose the baby. Mm-hmm. Seems much more traumatic than to not give birth to the baby. That was my reasoning. That's fine. So if the test would have came back that, you know, because nothing is 100%. So they could say he has Down syndrome and then he comes out and doesn't have it. Mm-hmm. So what were you thinking when I posed that question?
As far as what? As far as what I would do? Yeah,
what would you have done? If the test came back, okay, yes, there's a 70% chance.
I already told you what I would do.
What would you do? Tell the people.
I mean, I don't believe in abortion, and I stand on that.
You started to not say that, and then you said epic. I'm going to say it. Okay.
You know what I mean? So, in a marriage especially, you know what I'm saying? Like,
as an adult.
I feel like as an adult, in a marriage... Unless, I mean,
but is that
there was a chance of you not surviving? But otherwise, I mean,
you'll figure it out.
I feel like that's what God had in store. So I'm gonna roll with the punches. Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. But I wouldn't volunteer because I mean, I know I work in the medical field, so I know how often doctors are wrong.
That's a fact.
So I don't trust. Me personally, I don't trust anything a doctor tells me when it comes to life and death.
So he's going to take your chances and go with God.
I'm going to take my chances.
I'm going to go with God on this.
I'm going to rock with God.
Okay. Well, prayerfully, you know, that's
I'm going to rock with God.
Another tough decision that you're never prepared for.
That's a tough decision. I respect anybody's opinion. Decision to
do what's best for them.
Because do what's best for you and your family, but
think about what you're signing up for. Mm-hmm. It's like, and I know we're saying Down syndrome, but there's a whole spectrum of things that it could be. Mm-hmm. So Down syndrome is just one that I remember. And I have personally seen people with Down syndrome that live full lives. You know, they do all the things, they live a long time and all that. But what I'm thinking about, selfishly, I will admit, but what does your life look like if you end up having a special needs child that does have such great need that they literally need to be cared for the rest of their lives? Selfishly, I can admit that was my thought.
Mm-hmm. Which I can understand, because we both know people with special needs children and how hard it is on them.
Real sacrifice.
Like it's a real thing that people don't really think about, especially when we talk about the whole abortion thing. Like, it's hard.
It is hard. It's hard when they ain't special needs.
You know what I mean?
Okay?
Yeah. I was gonna say it's hard. Period. Yeah.
Speaking of special
not,
needs, I had some special needs after I had Ro.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, and I talked about this when I shared my other birth story. I do not. I won't say that I had like postpartum depression. I will not say that. But what I will say is I definitely had like an identity crisis. I think I for sure struggled with my old life being dead. Mm-hmm. Like my whole entire first pregnancy, and I did this a little bit with the second pregnancy too. I guess it's just kind of natural. I felt like I just got to make it to the finish line. And the finish line was delivering the baby. Not realizing the finish line was really the starting point. Like it really starts once the baby is here. I'm not finishing this. So I thought that once I have the baby, I just go back to being my old self with a baby. That old self was no more. Yeah. She does not exist. R.I.P. to my old life. And I cried like every day.
Really?
And I don't think you do that. I tried very hard because you were there. My mom was there. Not even trying to play tough. I don't think it's necessarily playing tough. I just don't want to maybe that is playing tough. I don't know. I didn't want to I'm not comfortable having a breakdown for no reason in front of people.
It's not no reason. You just had a baby.
Yeah, but it's not like something I could pinpoint is wrong that's making me cry. It's just like my emotions are all over the place. My hormones are outrageous. I have this little baby human that needs me, but I want to go to the store or I want to go do anything. Like the being able to make decisions for yourself and not you cannot do what you want to do. I think for a woman especially, it's a little bit harder because for a man, you at least get to go to work. You at least get to leave the house. Yeah. Even if it's going to work, you get to see other adults. You get to have conversations. You get to, go to lunch, go on your lunch break.
Have somewhat of a normal life.
Have some silence, some peace. And women don't get that most of the time. Did you see me struggling, though, is what I want to know.
I wouldn't say I saw you struggling, but I did feel that you were stressed. I could feel the difference in the house. So I wouldn't say I knew you were breaking down in the closet crying every day. Like, yeah, that was you. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking like that. But I did see, and I went through it myself.
Was you crying in the closet?
I wasn't crying in the closet. I'm just saying, it was a stressful time. Now it was a stressful time.
What did you go through?
I think I went through some of that also. So I had the freedom of leaving and going to work, but say I wanted to go watch a game, I kind of felt guilty for even wanting to do that. You know what I mean? It's like,
you should.
How dare you go to work all day and come home and leave me? And you know what I mean? So I understand what you went through. I mean, I didn't go through it, of course. I didn't go through the same thing, but I experienced a little bit of loss, a mourning of my old life, especially now. I think now more than ever with 2 kids.
With 2 kids, it's
with 2, it's over. With 1, it was we can figure something out. Somebody take it. Your mama here, my mom.
Somebody take it. You just caught that child. You see how these daddies be doing?
Somebody get him.
Too. What was a challenge too is that I'm gonna speak for myself, but I think you feel the same way. Kendrick really is my best friend. So when I think of something that I want to do it with him. Yeah. So it's not like I'm gonna just leave the babies home with him and go live my best life. My best life is hanging out with you. Yeah. So I want us to be able to go
so that was,
together.
So I think that's what it was for me. So not having.
You said you want to go watch the game.
I'm just saying, but you would have went with me to watch the game, right? You'd have been my road dog.
Yeah, I would have went. Okay.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Having that freedom of we about to go do this. Go put your clothes on. You know what I'm saying?
We got it in.
Yeah, we got it in.
We did have a time.
But I think the fact that we had a time for so long.
Yeah, it was hard to let it go.
Yeah, it was that life died. Literally.
It did. But at least they died together. At least.
But like you said, we got it in afterwards too, though.
We still be trying.
Yeah,
we still be trying.
Cairo got some stamps.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
He probably done been on more flights than
but baby, let me tell you, we got to buy him a whole full price seat now. So he ain't going nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere?
No.
We got to take him somewhere.
Orlando, 50-minute flight. That's the limit. Right. Last thing that I want to talk about because I don't think anybody could be prepared for that. It's like parenthood. You can't actually be prepared. You could take all the classes, you can get all the advice, you could do whatever you think is going to help you, but it might help a little bit, but it probably ain't going to do much. But one of the things that I think is not enough of a conversation that we got to start talking about is the impact having children has on your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The impact of becoming a parent on the partnership that you have. Because I said this, I said it to anybody who would listen. I have like a better husband than I could have prayed for. Like, you are it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You it too.
You are it, right? Even with you being it.
It was still
tough. It was still, and it's not even like it was something that you could have done better, or it's just like, these are the circumstances. This is what you got. This is what you got to work with. So I cannot imagine. First of all, I can't imagine being a single mother because, baby, y'all are superheroes. Being a teen mother, how the hell are you doing it? I don't know, because I'm old as hell, prepared as I could have ever been, and I'm still figuring it out every single day. So doing it with a partner, I am blessed. But the effect that it has had on our partnership, I don't think people are talking about it. How do you think becoming parents changed our relationship, our friendship? Like, what you think? You can be honest.
I think we hit the reset button. It's like everything is new. Like we started over. So like the Friday nights we used to have, the weekends, all of that is different now. I mean, like, it's like night and day. Like, even me just getting off work and going home, it's like,
you don't want to come home. You be sitting in your car. What you be doing? You be sitting in the car outside?
I love coming home, man. Ain't nothing like seeing my babies when I get to the house. So just having that free time, really. Like, you know how I am. I like to get home and decompress, have a few minutes to myself. That's over.
That's why you be sitting in the bathroom. Fellas, I done figured y'all out, too. I know when y'all be getting that time to yourself. Y'all be in that bathroom for hours. What are you doing?
I be in there for 1 minute, and she be knocking.
As soon as I hear that phone, hear them videos, I know you in there playing around.
Playing around. Like, I'm really using the bathroom. I'm just multitasking.
I'm just having a good time.
I'm not having a good time. I'm entertaining myself while I do what I got to do.
Instagram, hold on. Instagram has proven that this is a main thing.
Instagram is the new.
It's not
what we used to have back in the day. The magazines or newspapers next to the toilet.
Yeah. That's
it's the new magazine. So it's like the one time where I can scroll freely and not have to worry about something to do. At work, I'm doing something.
You know what's going on when I'm in the bathroom?
I'm doing something.
I got a baby strapped to my chest, or sitting at the door.
Not every time.
Or he's sitting at the door. Or Cairo saying, "Mommy, potty." That's what's happening. It's not the same though. This is one of the hardest things.
Say that's another thing too. We got to stop the whole comparison thing. Like,
is that it's not the same.
It's different because I got to get up at 5 a.m. and go to work. Not saying that you sleeping any better, but
y'all want to see us have an argument on this episode?
It's different when you got to say.
What I be doing at the house?
I'm not saying you're not doing anything, but it's different when you have to get up, get ready for the day, go and do what's on somebody else's agenda. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I would rather be home taking care of the babies, but
hell no, you wouldn't.
It's different.
Let's end on this. Okay, let's end with this. Because
I'm not even gonna say that though. I mean, sometimes I don't mind.
One day, Target. I didn't go to a party. I didn't go out of town. I went to Target. It's
How many
5
Targets did you go to?
minutes away.
How many Targets?
When I tell you I have been gone for like 30 minutes and he come calling me, talking about you having fun. I'm like, bro, I've been gone 30 minutes. Like, these men could not last. Okay, if you
can
had to do a whole day.
I can last now. Don't get it.
Are you scared to stay home with your kids?
I'm definitely not scared to stay home. Do I want to stay home?
You're not interested.
I mean, I stay home now, so
you do, but it's not like the last.
I'm not like an active.
I'm not acting like that at all.
Parent now. Let's get that.
I'm not acting
straight.
Like that. That's why I said you are the best, and it still is. This is just what it is.
It's just a lot, right?
That was my disclaimer.
I think
he's a very active parent. Y'all be saying that.
We got a very busy life outside of our kids. Between me working, the businesses, the podcast, everything we got going on. So like doing all of that, and then being a full-time parent, plus the extracurricular, Like, I've been trying to work out for the last 3 months. I ain't been in the gym yet. It's the time ain't there. The energy not there. You know, I'm working on it. I'm gonna get in there this month for real.
Hold us
So
to
I
it,
would
y'all.
say, I'm definitely not afraid to be alone with him. I mean, I do it. Do I want to be there all day?
What's your max? What's your max daddy time?
I'm not gonna say because you gonna hold me to it. 30 minutes, 2 hours. I can do 2 hours
With both of them.
with both of them. I mean, I don't honestly. It's not that I can't be with them. It's that I can't do anything else. That's really the biggest thing. It's like I'm strapped.
Yeah, you're a hostage.
I mean, I can't even send a text message most
You're a
times. So like, if you got a text message,
hostage.
if you text me or call me, and I ain't been responding, just know why.
Wait, so but
My
you
son
said,
probably got my
you
phone.
Said, you said 1 to 2 was harder than 0 to 1. You think having 2 kids is harder
It
than
was
going
way
from
harder than
none
just-
to 1?
Yeah, definitely. Cause like once you get that one good, you good. We get Ro to sleep.
Zoe is up.
The night is ours.
Not
Now you
anymore.
get him to sleep.
The other one is
He up
partying.
all night.
Yeah,
I get him to sleep. Ro get up at 6 a.m. Like last night, he got up at 2 a.m.
He wanted to
And
have a slumber party with you.
He slumbered
And
all
he
right.
did. He partied. Yeah, we're going through it, guys. I don't know if you can tell how sleepy we
And
are.
then I think
at
he's
this
going through
very
something
moment.
too. So he's
Cairo
needing
is
a little
definitely
extra.
going through. That's a whole nother episode, a whole nother conversation of just trying to be the best parents that we. That's what this episode is going to be called. We just trying.
Yeah.
We just trying.
I was gonna say,
every day
we
to be the
learning
best
as we
parents
go.
We can. Anybody got parenting classes out there? Send them my way, okay? Because we don't know it all. We're trying to figure it out.
We
We actually don't know shit,
know nothing.
but we're trying to figure it out. We don't know. We are just hanging on.
I be
by
waking
a
up
thread.
like, dang, I gotta do this again.
They're still here.
Yeah.
They are still here. Yeah. But yeah, we got Patreon now, guys. So head on over to Patreon. I'm gonna get Kendrick to do like some pillow talk conversations. Okay, it's gonna get real spicy. He don't know about it yet.
Pillow talk.
You gonna be there?
Are you gonna be there? Is the
I'm gonna be
question
there.
because pillow talking ain't true.
It's not my thing. I'm gonna do it for the Patreon. We're gonna
do it
pillow
for the
talk for the Patreon. Okay, so
What
head
kind of
on
pillow talk
over.
we talking?
You see, that's
See,
how we
she-
got these 2 kids now.
She be trying to
That's how
throw
we got
stuff
these 2
on
kids
me.
now. We'll talk about it later.
I like to get details
He
ahead of
does.
time because
He likes to get all the details.
she'll come home tomorrow and be like, yeah, so you
It's
ready?
pillow talk time.
Like, what are you talking about?
You'll see. You'll find out when we find out. Okay. Over on Patreon. Get in where you fit in. Season 2 is going down. Okay. Brand new location. We got some amazing guests lined up. I'm excited about the conversation. I appreciate y'all being here. And I'll see you on the next episode.